Juan Calix is my name, working with reproductive health Uganda. It's the youth office. So I work. Intersexuality, from a medical perspective, it is an ambiguity in the genitalia. Find that this person is neither a male or female. So most times there are disorders of sexual development, but most times they emanate from the aspect of chromosomes and hormones. Though most of the time they are more visible at the genital level, but these disorders might be internal or external. And most of the time before, they were confusing intersex with hermaphrodites. But believe me, when you're going to details of intersexuality, there's no person who can possess two organs that are performing the same way, at least at a given time, especially when a person is left to reach puberty. Ideally, that's what is supposed to be done. The hormones which are more dominant will determine the most probable sex to which this person has to undergo. But what we are seeing, simply because it's the new concept, people are shy, people are tagging a lot of stigma, witchcraft, out of ignorance. So you find that most of the times, simply because the mothers and even some of the medical people, the midwives, service providers, have no knowledge, have limited information about intersex persons. During those days, the word hermaphrodite was the one that was being used. But due to current dynamics and revision of some of the concepts in the reproductive field, the most preferred word now is intersex. Because when they were saying intersex, they could think that a person can have two organs that are performing at the same time, but it's not possible. But with a lot of research and tests, it was realized that there is no way a person can possess two organs that are performing the same way. And that was the mistake that was being resolved. It is not witchcraft. It's not superstition. Causes of intersexuality are brought about by changes during the process of meiosis and mitosis on issues related to hormones and chromosomes. If I'm saying it's chromosomes and hormones, can sometimes be genetic. So during that process where sex differentiation is taking place, you might find that, because if it's a girl, she's supposed to have progesterone and estrogen. A guy is supposed to have what? Testosterone. If it happens that during the process of sex differentiation, a girl gets an excess of testosterone hormone a boy is supposed to have. This is a person whom you'll say, I'll give you a case in point, Caster Semenya from South Africa. Even in Uganda, we have Dorcas Ajok. She's a very good athlete in Dejo University. But externally, the physique is a what? A male. But internally, she possesses features of what? Then, if it happens that a girl has excess testosterone hormone, you'll find that internally she might possess internal tests. And when you go into that, you might realize that she might not be having a womb or even what? Ovaries. Sometimes you might find that this is a boy who is having breasts. The voice, the skin, then the texture of the neck, then you might find that this is a boy who is menstruating. So for a person who is ignorant about intersexuality, to hear that a boy is menstruating, a boy was seated in class, then all of a sudden he started menstruating, it can be something like as an alarming witchcraft. But it's an aspect. If excess, like I've said, at the level of chromosomes and the level of what? Of hormones. If there is crossing of excess hormones of the other sex into the other, time it reaches at puberty that the physiological milestones might dictate the opposite what? Way. So features of intersexuality can be external or internal. You see a very beautiful woman, she has everything, but inside she has no uterus, she has underdeveloped ovaries, she has never menstruated. You find a 25-year, 24-year-old lady, in her life she has never seen periods. It goes beyond something what? It's something that is internal, but it's at the level of hormones and what? So it's regular tests need to be done. And mother realizes that she has given birth to this person who was an ambiguous genitalia, simply because he or she knows that the society will ridicule her, attach a lot of stigma, bring in a lot of violence, connives with a surgeon, and they do a lot of surgeries without doing proper tests. At the end of the day, when this kid grows up, reaches puberty, they realize that the surgeries they had done were contradicting to what now the puberty changes are dictating within this body. So this young man or woman lives her life with a lot of trauma. So what is advised right now? What was being done was called the concealment approach. A kid is supposed to be left till it reaches puberty. By puberty, the dominant sex will determine. Then it's his or her right. There are those kids who would say, for me, I feel comfortable remaining the way I am. Then there are those who would say, after he or she has reached puberty and the dominant sex is dictating that, he or she can choose to go for tests and then appropriate surgery. The way they feel about themselves has to begin from the parent. If a parent, I'll give you a case in point, most of the time pregnant mothers go for antenatal care, and when they are giving them sensitization discussions, these people are telling them you are either going to give birth to a male or a female. So this pregnant woman knows that it is either male or what? But the surprise will come when she has given birth and this kid has an ambiguous genitalia. Believe me, that is a psychological effect to the parent. Simply because she's ignorant about this, that ignorance is also going to affect the kid. How? She's going to hide this baby. Besides that, if it's not hidden, she might connive with whichever person is helping her to give birth, maybe a traditional birth attendant, maybe a midwife, a surgeon. They might kill this kid, or they might go an extra mile to make it a point that they dictate the type of sex this kid themselves want her to live. And most of the time they assign a female what? A female sex. And when it reaches puberty and the changes are dictating the other way, first of the things, this kid is going to feel ashamed. She or she's going to distance herself from the social activities around. There's a lot of ridicule from the people around. Some of them are going to develop withdrawal. They might decide to commit suicide. Then besides that, if he's been in school, he or she might drop out of what? School. So we find that this kid is totally distanced from the realities of the social what? World, simply because when he or she looks about his or her body physiology, it's not the same like the people around her. Various stakeholders in this needs to be apportioned responsibility. There's limited research. There's limited research to inform programming policy reviews. Policy reviews in as far as health service provision is concerned, the education curricula is concerned. Now that's at the level of policy makers. Then, when you go to our health centers, believe me, even some of the medical persons, the service providers, are a problem simply because they are also possessing limited information, up-to-date information about intersex persons. Then besides that, the community in which these people do live, even males supporting their wives. The moment they realize that the wife has given birth to a kid who is either male or female, the man takes off. So men are not, very few men are supporting their women and appreciating this aspect of that. In our trainings, when we are discussing sex, sexuality and gender, one of the sessions that we've included, a detailed one, is on intersexuality. We discuss a male and a female, but we also have a detailed session on intersexuality. No woman is immune from giving birth to a kid who is an intersex. Like I've told you, it happens at the level of sex differentiation. Then relatedly, we made it a point that we bring on board the intersex persons to give their story, to the people we are working with. Because they're in proposition to understand and appreciate that really this thing is real than just talking about it. Now we made the point that we involve the media, because the media does a lot to make it a point to disseminate each and every information that you want. It has a wider coverage. The TVs, we bring them on board. Then later we made the point that as Reproductive Health Uganda, we participate in fundraising. Like I've told you, one of the key needs of intersex persons, sometimes they might need surgeries and they do not have the money. So as Reproductive Health Uganda, we made the point that we participate in fundraising to help some of these intersex persons to go for appropriate surgeries and tests. More to that, we made the point that we've created strategic partnerships with organizations that are working with persons with sex disorders like CPID in Natete, KOSU on Entebbe Road. Then have some surgeons in Mulago Hospital who do the surgeries, they carry out the tests on this category of of people. So as Reproductive Health Uganda, we've embraced, since we are working in the field which is very diverse, we don't discriminate. Okay, like I told you, from the time of birth, each and every person is expecting. Is it a boy or a girl? This question seems complicated when a third option, where this kid born is possessing an ambiguous or doesn't fit either of the sides. There are some complications that can be worked on, some disorders. There are some that can be diverse. So there are some who can be worked on, since we said it is a disorder of sexual development. But besides that, irrespective of the disorders, whatever, this is a person who has rights, who is entitled to full sexual and reproductive health rights. Don't deny this person access to health services, information. Believe me, if you are talking about maybe any infection, the same way HIV, Candida, syphilis is going to attack either a female, it's the same way HIV is going to attack this intersex person. Besides, I've seen a gentleman who's been raised as a lady, but after some time, when he's going to be what is supposed to be, the structure is a vagina, but now the penis comes out. After that, the penis goes back. You get it? So just imagine it's not that person has been having sex. So HIV, Candida will not know that your genitalia is ambiguous or not. Back to understanding and appreciation. Do the different policymakers and people who come up with these documents understand, have knowledge about intersexuality? It would be good if the Central Registry comes up with a central data capturing center, whereby if any baby born with an intersex is captured there. Like I've told you, there is limited research. It goes back to the birth certificates, child health cards. I would really appreciate it that the concerned people, because believe me, so many midwives help women give birth, and when they realize that this kid doesn't fall anywhere, they referring over where I don't know. It goes back. If they've referred, do they make a follow-up to make it a point? Because I've been positioned to share with so many. They would say, if something of the sort comes up, for us, we have no idea. We just refer. I don't know where. Now issues comes to follow up. But if there's a particular central registry in the hospitals, it will inform policy formulation and strategic programming. Then the midwives, if these women come for antenatal care visits, besides lamenting unto them, you're either going to give birth to a kid or what, also communicate. However, there might be some disorders that might happen, and you give birth to your kid who doesn't fall anywhere, so that when this woman gives birth to a kid with an intersex character, it doesn't take her by surprise. Believe me, it really hurts. You're expecting a boy or a girl, and then you give birth to a kid who is with an ambiguous genitalia. From a sexual and reproductive point of view, intersexuality is a key concern in SRH programming. You get it? At various levels, people are discussing about anatomy and physiology. I would really appreciate it that since this is an area with limited research, and believe me, you according, like I was discussing with people of CP, ever since they started, I was saying that 70% of the people whom they've got with this condition are children. 30% are adults. But believe me, there are so many adults who are possessing intersexuality futures, but they fear to come out simply because first time the society is going to stigmatize them, so they keep it unto themselves. But right now we are making it a point that with unison with CPIT and other related agencies, we are working with CPIT to make it a point that we discuss with Ministry of Health officials, and they've welcomed our idea to further embrace this and give them detailed information about intersexuality. I believe there is a ray of hope. Like I've told you, there are so many instances that go unnoticed. You can't extract records from TBS. Then, like I've told you, if most of the time a kid is born, the midwife, they refer. So there's a lot of, it's very hard to determine at this level the number of people who are possessing intersexuality characteristics. Maybe let me hope in the coming census that is yet to be done, some of these issues will be what? Will be captured. But like I'm telling you, each and every person on this earth is disabled, has a disorder. Issues of reproductive health are unique. We shouldn't make issues to be vertical, homogeneous. Even if a person is male or female, still they have their differences. So we shouldn't generalize that it is supposed to be, it is a must. It is a must, it's supposed to be what? Let's take a case by case analysis of each and every person's intersexuality. By analyzing the depth of the uniqueness of each and everyone's sexuality, then you're in proposition to inform our programming and the nature of the information we put across. It could directly help in reducing stigma and discrimination and denial of appropriate quality services and information to the different people who need it.